Okay, so with Season 2 finally airing, I thought it would be a good idea for a quick recap, and also to take a moment to tell you why I love this show so much. So let's start. Mob Psycho is one of my favorite anime. I enjoy just about everything in this. From the way it tells its story, to the strange animation, to making a man who can destroy an entire building at the drop of a hat not only relatable, but also feel extremely vulnerable. It takes the trope of the overpowered protagonist and gives it an entirely new feel, while at the same time never disrespecting or doing a disservice to the genre as a whole. Now, the man who created this is really just showing us with this anime that he is one of the greats for sure. So, episode 1 introduces us to our two main characters, Mob and Reigen. Mob is a completely overpowered Esper, while his master is just, well, a normal dude with some crazy massage skills. So pretty much to tell you how these characters interact, it kind of goes like this. Reigen does pretty much nothing, and then when things get crazy, he calls Mob, Mob takes care of it. Simple relationship. Now, episode 1 and 2 kind of do more of the same, just giving you an outline of how powerful Mob is while introducing you to the Body Improvement Club. These characters don't get too much showtime, even though they're a pretty important part later on in the story. Now, in the final episode of my little rant here, episode 3, we get introduced to Dimple. Now, Dimple is introduced originally as a villain, but Mob makes quick work of him. Somehow he survives and becomes a kind of sidekick slash really annoying friend. He also has a pretty big part later on in the story, but we'll get there. So episode 4, 5, and 6 show us the two conflicts that'll be the main focus of this show. And that's Mob's brother desperately trying to be as strong as him, and the Espers acting like they aren't just a bunch of normal dudes with some special powers. So episode 4 and 5 show us Hanazawa, bad pronunciation, and his epic attempt to beat Mob. While this did give us one of the best animated fight scenes ever, I don't want to spend too much time talking about it because I feel like it's much better to experience it yourself. So we can just move on to episode 6. So it starts off by showing a lot more of just how much Mob's brother is bothered by the fact that his brother's an Esper, and how since they were kids, all he wanted to do is be one himself. So lucky for him, a research group looking for Mob grabs him by mistake. He walks in to see that pretty much everyone there is just a super weak version of his brother, but despite that, he still tries to join. So after doing a bit of fraud and ruining this kid's life, he comes to the conclusion that he isn't and never will be an Esper. So he gives up just in time for us to see that he does indeed have some small amount of power. So episode 7 real fast. Dimple gives Raitsu Esper powers and Hanazawa humbles him real quick. After that, a group of thugs from another school, once again thinking that Raitsu is Mob, comes to start trouble. So after a bit of a beating, Mob finally shows up to figure out that his brother has powers. But after some great dialogue between the two, showing just how much his brother was hurting, their conversation was cut short by Scarface here. After a short and incredible fight, his brother is kidnapped. Mob later finds out that there's an evil organization who finds young Espers, brainwashes them to make an evil Esper army, and then Mob gathers his friends to go on a rescue mission to save his brother. Also, these random dudes. So episode 10 starts off with Mob and the crew finally showing up at the big bad space. And after some really cool fights, which all of them deserve their own videos, I know, he ends up finding his brother only to be tricked, for like a minute, into thinking he's dead. This pushes him over the edge and he passes out, so with him down, the entire group gets captured. Go figure. Now, lucky for them, Reigen is on the way. After some talking, he somehow convinces the entire enemy forces that he is in fact their boss, coming to do a little checkup. After a short bit, he finds Mob and the others, tries to free them, but he gets caught up in the middle of an all-out Esper war, almost getting himself killed. Seeing this makes Mob go crazy, but lucky for Reigen, Mob transfers all of his power to him right before he was almost cut in half. Reigen then makes quick work of the bad guys, showing them all that being a super powerful Esper isn't really that crazy and it doesn't give you the right to, well, take over the world. After that, all kind of goes back to normal, but we find out that all those espers and that big building and that whole saga was just a really small pawn in a really big game. Okay, well, that's all I have for today. I hope I did a good job. I know I didn't dive deep into a lot of the themes and everything else about the show, and I'm hoping that this video can give you enough just for a little refresher and maybe something to get you really hyped for Season 2. With all that being said, if you like the video, like it. If you want to see more videos like this, feel free to subscribe.